Hey guys, welcome back to Tracy's Local Learnings, and this is part 2 of how easy it is to tincture. So there were some things that I didn't talk about in my first tincture video. Um, it's a lot to process, so I want you guys to be doing your own research in between times, thinking about different plants that you might want to tincture for yourself and have on your shelf. So there was one more tincture that I'm going to do right now, just to get it out of the way, since we're talking about tinctures. So I'm going to back this up if I can. There we go. Okay, so does anybody know what this one is? So I had told you that 2 flowers, or is there one with 2 flowers, will come up. Oh, I got none. I've got one, but it's looking kind of hurting. Okay, here we go. So that's what it looks like. It has the one flower, and then it'll have another one come out the top. That is the top of the bee balm. So that's the other tincture I'm going to be making today while I talk to you guys about tinctures. Um, please don't mind the mess. I really is. It's organized chaos here. And as long as I know, as long as I know what's going on, that's all that matters. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this tincture. We're just going to kind of cut it up. So, and again, I'm putting in the flowers, the leaves, and the stems because I want it to be a balanced tincture. So when we were talking about the tinctures in the first video, part of the thing that I didn't go over with you guys, I kind of overlooked it, was how to strain the tincture. So we'll go back over kind of. So if you're using 100 proof, you would let your tincture sit for 4 to 6 weeks in a cool, dark place, shaking it every now and again. I try to go in and shake them at least once a day to make sure that there's no unexposed surfaces that could be getting extracted from. What was I just about to say? Yeah, so shaking them. And then when your time is up, and if you're using 80 proof or 40% alcohol and 60% water, you're going to want to leave your tincture for a little longer. So, instead of 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, you want to leave it for maybe 12 weeks, just to give it a better opportunity to extract those properties out of the plant matter. Now, when you're straining it, there's a lot of different sieves and stuff that you can get. I try to only use stainless steel when it comes to my tinctures. So I would use a stainless steel bowl, stainless steel strainer, and all that stuff. There are some other things that I do when I'm straining it other than a strainer. So I'll also put down on top of my strainer either some cheesecloth, or I'll use a milk nut bag. Now, the purpose of the fabric is so that you can really squeeze out those medicinals when you go to strain it. So what you would do is you would strain it in your regular sieve, then you would let it sit there for a long time. You want to get all those little properties. Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing. You want to get all those little properties out of the plant matter that's in that tincture. So it's going to take a while. It's not a quick thing. You kind of dump it and come back to it later in the day, right? Because you really, like I said, you want all those properties. And again, you're cutting it up, but you're not killing it. You're not like making it look unrecognizable. You just want to expose some extra surface area for the alcohol to extract those properties. So I'm using, like I said, the leaves, the flowers, and the stems. And I'm going to fill up this jar. I might have to go get a little bit more. It's not quite full. And then you pour your alcohol in. So we've already done that. So this part of the video is really about straining your tincture. You want to take your time with it. You want to, if it's in the nut bag, you can really squeeze it out. Every little drop. You want every little bit of that tincture to land into your jar or container that you're using to store your tincture in. So when it comes to tinctures, I store mine primarily in brown bottles. Um, Now, the reason for that is I take my tinctures out sometimes, whether it's camping or whatever. I take certain tinctures with me in case I need them. Um, so I keep them in the brown or the green bottles. Now you can, if you're storing this stuff in your medicine cabinet and your medicine cabinet closes and it's dark in there, you can put these in little glass bottles, clear glass bottles. They do not have to be in dark bottles as long as they're not going to be exposed to light, direct light of any sort. And when it comes to tinctures, a lot of people ask, how long do they last? Alcohol does not go bad. It will last for forever. So some of the tinctures that I made years ago, I didn't even strain the plant matter out. I just left it. So if I need it, I go in there with a little dropper. I take what I need, I reseal it, and I put it back on my shelf. It's not going to do anything to the tincture itself. The plant matter is going to turn brown over time as it oxidizes, but that's it. It doesn't harm anything. Like I said, I have some that have been sitting on my shelf for years that I only use little bits and pieces out of, so I just don't even bother straining it. And that way I don't have to clean the jar and blah, 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 right? It just goes on and on. I'm just trying to save myself time. So when you're doing tinctures, you can use them for in the process of soap making. Again, do your research, find your own instructions. A tincture is going to add a lot of the properties into it, and like lemon balm tincture is very, very strong. I have a lilac tincture that's very, very scented with those scents. So again, that's why I use the vodka, because it has no scent, but you're welcome to use any. Alcohol is alcohol is alcohol. Don't go with anything over 100 proof, otherwise it can be dangerous. You do have to do a lot of mathematics to figure out how much water to add to it to make it safe for consumption. And what else? There was more I was going to talk to you. Oh, I want to talk to you guys about going live. I have considered it, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys and tell you some of the reasons that I'm reluctant to go live. The first reason I'm reluctant to go live is because I deal with a lot of medicinals. Now, I can't retain everything about every medicinal, and with a live stream with multiple people coming in, if people are asking me multiple questions, it's going to get overwhelming really quick. Like I'm going to tell you one of the like a different kind of a tincture I make other than herbs. Okay, so the other day I was talking to someone. They asked me, what's good for the brain, for memory, cognition, just all of that, right? Basically brain health. And it's lion's mane. Now, lion's mane is not shelf stable. It doesn't last for a long time. You can dehydrate it, which I do, but I also tincture it. Lion's mane is actually really good if you slice it up and you fry it in butter. Oh my God, it's delicious. Anyways, I also make a tincture. So I put the lion's mane in, I pour on my alcohol, I cap it, I leave it. Now, I took out some of the lion's mane, but I left some in there. Again, it does turn it off color, but I know what's in there and it's fine. How do I use my lion mane tincture? I put 3 or 4 drops in my cup of coffee in the morning, and I put 3 or 4 drops in a glass of water in the evening before I go to bed. Now, with tinctures, it's not something that you ever do a shot of. It's always drops. It's very condensed. It's got a lot of properties in it, so you don't need a lot. That's, one of the benefits to making tinctures is you end up with a lot of product. It'll last you for years and years and years. But something like the lemon balm, if you're using it for allergies on a seasonal basis, again, you're gonna, when you notice the allergies coming on, or even the goldenrod is really good for allergies. It's good for urinary tract infections and so much more. There's a video on it if you guys want to see. But so say if you're using one of these two for allergies, you're going to be like, when you first start getting the itchy, watery eye kind of thing going on, you're going to maybe put 2 or 3 drops in a glass of water in the morning. You can also put it, because it's safe, you can put it under your tongue. It will get into your system a little bit quicker that way than putting it in water. But you can do either way if you don't like the taste of it. So you would do that, say, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening if it's for allergies, or even if it's for UTI. Now you're going to want to repeat that until your symptoms start to calm down, right? So once you're kind of combating that problem, you want to cut back a little bit. With any medicinals, like anything, you don't just want to use it for forever. Now, it's quite different than allergy medicine. Allergy medicine is synthetic, and that band-aid goes on pretty quick, right? But if you stop taking those pills, it comes right back. Where when you're using medicinals, they're bioavailable for your body. Over time, your allergies are just not going to exist anymore, which is a wonderful thing. Um, but again, so you would use a couple drops in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and then maybe take it for a consistent 5 days. Give your body maybe 1-2 days rest. See if your symptoms come back again. If they do, then you'll start another 5-day stretch. You don't want to be just like taking it. If it's not working, like say if you're taking goldenrod for your allergies and it's not working, you might want to make a tincture with some ragweed root. The ragweed plant itself is toxic, but the root would be great for in a tincture to help with allergies, or stinging nettle. There's a lot of different plants that are good for allergies. There's a lot of different plants that are good for your anxiety, stress. So with a lemon balm tincture, say if you have a job interview coming up on Monday, you might want to, on Sunday, you might want to have a couple drops in your coffee in the morning, couple drops before bed. You know what I mean? Get it into your system. It's relaxing, calming. Now it does help you sleep, but you're not going to fall asleep. You know what I mean? It's just it's good for anxiety. It's good for depression. Again, I have a video on many of these medicinals that I'm talking about. I have not done one on lion's mane mushroom because I do not grow them myself. I did get mine from a grower. I went to the grower to get them. But then that's on me, right? All of these other ones, you know, you can tincture almost anything, you guys, and when it comes to the vodka thing, you can use any booze that you want, any alcohol that you want. So you say you want say you got a bottle of Crown Royal in your cupboard and Christmas is coming, drop a couple cinnamon sticks in there. You want to go with Ceylon cinnamon. It is a healthier choice and it's better for our body. And you can let that sit on your shelf until Christmas time, and when you open it, you're going to have that wonderful cinnamon flavor in there, and you're going to get all the properties, the beneficial properties for your health. Now, again, I do have another playlist on kitchen medicinals that covers like cinnamon and turmeric and cayenne and parsley, and I think there's a few other ones on there. These are all medicinal. We look at them as our kitchen spices, but they're so good for us, you guys. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for part 2 is squeeze, 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 get all those little bits out. And again, so it's 6 to 8 weeks for 100 proof vodka, and it's 8 to 12 weeks with 80 proof or 40% vodka or alcohol. Cool, dark place, shaky, shaky, shaky. Make sure it's getting all of those wonderful properties out of the plant. And then you're good to go. You have the tincture on your hand. Now, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just showing you how I do it. And research really is the most important thing when it comes to anything, especially if you're making it for your friends and family. You want it to be 100% safe, so you want your jars clean. You want to make sure you label everything, and that goes, and once you strain your stuff, if you're putting it into a different jar, make sure you label it, because you're not going to have any way of knowing. It's just going to be liquid at that point. There's not going to be any plant matter in to help you identify it. So label, label, label. Again, I usually just put the year on it, because other than that, it doesn't really matter. And I mean, tinctures will last you for years and years and years to come anyways. But in my book, when I go to my tincture book, that's where I'm going to write down where I harvested it from, what time of year I harvested it from, how long I let the tincture go if I'm going to be straining it out, and all that neat jazz. So I thank you again for coming by my channel to watch this part 2 of how easy it is to tincture. I encourage you guys to do your research. try making a couple tinctures. Try, and you can do them in really tiny bottles. This is even a big bottle for me. This is my plantain and comfrey, so this is for, well, it'll be for a different application. So, and you can do this with dandelion, you can do this with plantain, you can do this with stinging nettle, you can do this with oregano, you can do this with almost anything. So I encourage you to try. I bring you these videos to kind of get you guys thinking, intrigue you into going, I wonder if I could do that. And you can, we all can. We're all capable. Just got to be safe, follow the basic guidelines, and that's it. If you guys have watched this video until the end, I would appreciate it if you put a little sunshine emoji down in the comment section. It will warm my heart and let me know that you enjoyed the content. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.